I don't want to blame the dads and say that we're lazy, but what ends up happening is we're just so selfless, right? We have work, we have our families, we have our kids, anything we volunteer for. And so you're giving every inch of yourself to others. And so the little time that you do have available to yourself, you want to freaking crash on the couch, watch some TV, right? You don't have anything else to give. And so, step number one is recognizing like you're not lazy. There's nothing wrong with you. It's just the things that worked for you in the past, 90-minute gym splits, eating keto or fasting won't work for you as a dad. Not because those things don't work or not because your metabolism slowed down, but just because how are you going to not eat carbs while your family is still eating carbs? How are you going to go to the gym for 2 hours a day while your wife needs you around, right? How are you going to fast and never eat breakfast again with your family just to say, I'm fasting, right? Like, so those things aren't sustainable as a dad. And so what I would recommend, the number one thing for busy dads is you have to, like, one, recognize that there's nothing wrong with you. And the things that you tried in the past worked, but they won't work for you now as a dad. And you need a new approach.
Major announcement time. Check this out. I'm so excited. March 7th through the 10th, 2024, out here in Coeur d'Alene, Idaho, there is an event called the Conscious Investor Growth Summit. And I will be one of the speakers at that event. I am so excited to be part of that and speaking alongside so many amazing speakers. Get ready to elevate your life at the Conscious Investor Growth Summit. Picture this: thought leaders, seasoned investors, world-class visionary entrepreneurs, all in one place, sharing their insights to transform your life. Don't miss out on the chance to build purposeful relationships and connect with like-minded people. Make sure that you secure your spot now because seats are limited. Go to consciousinvestorgrowthsummit.com. Kevin, you're a husband, you're a father, Army veteran, you're the founder of Dad Bod WOD, dude, your coach, so much more. Thank you for your service. Thank you for your time, man. I appreciate you.
I really appreciate you. And, I'm so honored to be here. Thanks so much.
Absolutely. I'd love to kick things off by going back a bit. Where did you grow up? What was childhood like for you?
So I grew up in Brooklyn, New York. I'm born and raised in the city, which is, a little different from your neck of the woods. But,
sure.
I always grew up in New York. The only time I was not in New York City was the 4 years I was in the Army. And that was, we were stationed out in Tennessee, or technically Fort Campbell, Kentucky, which is right on the Tennessee border, and then did 2 combat tours in Iraq.
Wow, man. Crazy. I've been to New York a couple times, only very briefly, 24 hours for one trip and 48 hours the next one. So I didn't get to see much, but what I saw of it looks cool.
Yeah, you ought to come back, man. It's busy as heck, though. So it's like it could be a little overwhelming sometimes.
Sure. Oh, man. And from my neck of the woods, there's no direct flight. So I always have to go like either to Utah or Portland before I head out. It's always interesting to fly out or from where I'm at there. Man, getting into your story, dude, like in the landscape of fitness influencers, like it's all about intense workouts and regimens, man. And like, what was it that inspired you to specifically focus on creating a platform for dads in their unique fitness journey?
Yeah. So really the thing is it's kind of all just happened by accident.
Okay.
I had my own struggles with fitness. I was always overweight in middle school and high school, in elementary school. In high school, I fluctuated because I was dating, I was into girls at that point, so I became more conscious of it.
Sure.
But then even when I joined the Army, I wasn't in like great shape, and comparatively, compared to everybody else there, I was probably like in the worst shape of everybody. I mean, I could run, I could ruck, I could do stuff, but like, physically, like I was technically overweight according to Army standards. And so when I got out of the Army, I ended up gaining 30 or 40 pounds because I was still eating and drinking as if I was running 5 miles and rucking 10 miles a day. But I was no longer doing that stuff. So anybody who's played, who's been in like a college athlete probably knows a similar story where, when you're in college and you're playing on sports, you could eat whatever you want and stay lean. And then you stop playing sports and you immediately start to gain weight. Well, I got out of the Army and I gained like 30 or 40 pounds instantly because I was eating and drinking like I was still in the Army, but I wasn't active anymore. Mm-hmm. And so I knew I needed to turn the ship around. And luckily I had a friend who was a personal trainer. He showed me a couple things and I just started really getting into fitness myself. And so fitness like transformed my life. But then fast forward, we had our first kid. And that's when everything sort of like came to a halt. I couldn't go to the gym anymore because, I wanted to be there with my wife and be there for the baby. And the limited time that we had available, I wasn't going to go to the gym. And my wife wasn't going to be cool with it either. Like, yeah, go take an hour or two for yourself while I sit here rocking the baby, So I wanted to be really good dad. And so the gym had like come to a screeching halt, but I was like, man, I got to do something. And so I would knock out these short little 10-minute circuits of like push-ups and squats and crunches. And I was like, all right, this is good. I'm still getting a good sweat, and I'm scratching that itch, and I feel like I'm maintaining like my gains. Well, anyway, you know, the baby got into a rhythm, and I was able to start going back into the gym and stuff. But then we had baby number 2. And that's when everything really came to a screeching halt. And that's when I started recording these short little workouts and posting them on Instagram, because I would take the baby, the older one, for a walk in the stroller, and while my wife was home with the baby, and I would knock out these short 15, 20-minute workouts, 10-minute workouts. And I was like, man, that was really good. You know what? Let me start recording these, because other dads need to see that you can get into shape while still pushing the baby like in a stroller. And so it was just like really innocently, I was like, I wasn't like going to monetize it or sell t-shirts or do anything with it. And then my wife was like, oh, that's funny. You should call it Dad Bod WOD, because I was into CrossFit at the time. And I was like, oh, that's really clever name. I'm like, okay, so I changed the name to Dad Bod WOD, and I just started posting. And I started getting a little traction, but again, there was no intention behind it. Then COVID happened. And when COVID happened and the world, you know, came to a screeching halt, people were looking for more at-home workouts and short little things like that. And then people just started finding my account. And because I was in education at the time, we were shut down. So I was able to actually focus more on just posting more on social media. And so just like organically, I was posting more, people were following more. And then enough people started asking like, hey, do you coach? And at first I was resistant. And then finally I was like, wait, no, yes, I do. And so that's how I just like took the leap into it.
Come on, man. Dude, that's so awesome, man. I've been on a workout journey for my dad bod really since May of this year, man. And,
awesome.
And it's been 6 days a week since May, and I'll be 44 next month. And I just said, you know what? I want to be in the best shape by the time I'm 44 years old, man. And so I cut it out, you know, lost a lot of belly that I had, man, and really slimmed up. And I've got a buddy who's a gym owner and a coach here in town. So he sends me the workouts on the app. And so we've kind of built a home gym. So man, I hit that thing up, and it's just been kicking my butt, dude. It's so important though as dads. I think as we get older, we get lazy, right? We're like, you know, want to just sit around and be, you know, unhealthy, watching a bunch of TV, man. And I just said, man, I can't do this anymore. I gotta start getting in better shape, eating healthier there. But like as dads, we face all these challenges from like physical, mental, spiritual, even lack of time there. Like what advice do you have for dads that struggle with those challenges? And what's really step one for dads?
Well, step one, because I just want to point out that you said like as dads, we kind of become lazy, and I agree, but I also want to, I don't want to blame the dads and say that we're lazy, but what ends up happening is we're just so selfless, right? We have work, we have our families, we have our kids, anything we volunteer for, and so you're giving every inch of yourself to others, and so the little time that you do have available to yourself, you want to freaking crash on the couch. Watch some TV, right? You don't have anything else to give. And so, you know, step number one is recognizing like you're not lazy. There's nothing wrong with you. It's just the things that worked for you in the past, you know, 90-minute gym splits, you know, eating keto or fasting won't work for you as a dad. Not because those things don't work or not because your metabolism slowed down, but just because how are you going to not eat carbs while your family is still eating carbs? How are you going to go to the gym for 2 hours a day while your wife needs you around, right? How are you going to fast and never eat breakfast again with your family just to say, I'm fasting, right? Like, so those things aren't sustainable as a dad. And so what I would recommend, the number one thing for busy dads is you have to, like, one, recognize that there's nothing wrong with you. And the things that you tried in the past worked, but they won't work for you now as a dad. And you need a new approach, something specifically designed with dads in mind, like short workouts, a sustainable nutrition protocol where you could still eat, you know, pizza like at your kid's party and ice cream and stuff like that, and still actually hit your goals.
Yeah. Oh man, that's so good, dude. So good. And I've had to adjust that as well. At first I was just gung ho on like, I'm eating what I need to eat, but I've got 2 kids. My kids are 13 and 10. So it's like, I don't expect my wife to go out and make 2 meals, one for me and one for them, right? Like, so I just had to adjust, eat smaller portions, you know?
Exactly.
Stuff. Man, it's so good.
Hey, this is a quick shout out from one of our awesome sponsors. Check this out. Thank you to Tracy down at Tranquil Turtle Massage in downtown Coeur d'Alene. Look, my wife and I, we see Tracy and her team every single month for couples massage, and it is the best thing. Tracy is a master massage specialist and a Hanu Ashiatsu trainer. You need to reach out to Tracy and her team. Make sure that you tell them that I sent you, and you'll get $25 off your next massage. Also, while you're there, check out CDA Brows, Body, and Ink. Make sure to tell Tracy that I sent you, and you'll save $100 on your next tattoo, brows, and plasma tightening services.
You offer this master class. It's 3 simple steps that busy dads can use to really lose 20 pounds. I watched your master class. It's so good, man.
Oh,
one of the things you cover in the master class is this 3-5-1 system. Like, can you deep dive into the 3 steps there? And what's the 3-5-1 system?
Yeah. So the number one thing I say is, if I just start with an analogy, like, how often do you brush your teeth? And you don't have to answer the question, but like,
Sure.
I want everybody, the audience to listen right now, listening. How often do you brush your teeth? Instantly, you come up with an answer in your head. Every day, twice a day, once in the morning, once at night, right? You have a minimum standard around that area of your life. But I'm willing to bet that none of us are batting 100 with brushing our teeth. You wake up one morning, you're rushing out the house, and you're driving to work late, and you're like, damn it, I totally forgot to brush my teeth, right?
Totally.
But does that mean you go, well, there goes my perfect streak. I guess I'm off brushing teeth now for the next week or 2 or 3 or a month, right? No, you just get back on the horse the next time you're available, the next time you're around your tooth, and you actually probably do an even better job knowing you missed the previous iteration, right?
Totally.
Yet when it comes to our health and fitness, we're either all in, like, I got to be really, really good. And if I miss a workout, well, I guess I'm off my plan. I suck. Or if I have a bad meal, it's like, well, I guess I just ruined my diet. I'll try again next month or next Monday or next year or next week or at the next health crisis or whatever, right? And the reason why that happens is because guys don't have a minimum standard around their health and fitness. And I'm not talking about like high standards versus low standards. I'm saying a minimum standards. Like, how often do you brush your teeth? Every day. How often do you go to church? Maybe once a week, maybe more than that if you're more active, maybe only on the high holidays like Easter and Christmas, right? Whatever it is, you have a standard. And so if I ask you, hey, how often do you work out? Most guys will be like, oh, some days it's like 2 weeks, 2 days a week, 3. Some days it's none. Some weeks it's 5. Some weeks, there's no minimum standard. So at minimum, I say everybody should be doing 3-5-1. And 3-5-1, everybody listening could adopt this. At minimum, you should be working out 3 days a week. Come hell or high water for the rest of your life. 3 days a week, whether that's just going for a walk, doing some push-ups, going for a jog, whatever, just 3 days a week.
Yeah.
The 5 and 3-5-1 just means 5 days out of the week, you want to keep your nutrition relatively good. You don't have to be perfect and just eat chicken and broccoli all day. Just eat 5 days. Just 80% of your meals a week should be pretty decent meals. And then the 1 in that 3-5-1 is, in our community, it's accountability and check-ins and stuff like that. You should be checking in with somebody about your progress. But if you're not in a community like that, or if you don't have a coach, then have an accountability buddy where you are texting each other literally like, hey, how's your diet coming along? Or, hey, you still tracking your nutrition? Hey, you still working out? Hey, how did you lose any weight this week? Just have somebody that you're holding, that's holding you accountable. And, because it shouldn't be your wife. Your wife doesn't want to hold you accountable, right? Like,
totally.
She doesn't want to babysit you. She wants somebody who's like going to take care of themselves. So get a friend or something like that, or of course a coach or a program or something along those lines. But 3-5-1, it's a super simple standard that you can maintain for the rest of your life. That if I called you in 3 years from now, hey, Erik, how often do you work out, man? Like, oh, at minimum 3 days a week. Some weeks more, but most of the time 3 days a week.
Yeah, come on. Man, that's a great system, dude. People need to be implemented. It's such an easy system to implement too, man, and life-changing for sure. How much does sleep go into being healthy as a dad, right? Like, I mean, is there a certain number of hours that us dads should be sleeping?
Yeah, dude, I'm probably not the person to talk about sleep because like any other dad, like I am just, not getting enough of it.
Totally.
And I don't want to sound like one of those influencers online that's like, I wake up at 3 and I go to sleep at 2. Like it's like what? Like
totally.
or even reverse sleep. Like I go to sleep at 3 and I wake up at 2:30. It's like, how is that possible?
Right.
You're reverse sleep. Like one of those high performer dudes. But as dads, like our sleep is so all over the place. Minimum 5-6 hours, right? But that being said, I do think the quality of sleep matters. Right.
Yes.
So like even if you're not getting a full 7 or 8 hours of sleep, the 5 or 6 hours that you are getting should be really good restorative sleep. So like, blackout curtains, white noise, a cold room, anything along those lines that the sleep that you do get is quality, I think is really important. And so like I try to go to bed by like around 9:30 every single night, which I know is early for some people. Sometimes it's as late as 10, but I'm up at like, you see my workouts at 5 in the morning. If you follow me on Instagram, I'm always posting like those 5 o'clock workouts. Yeah. And I don't do it because I think I'm badass or because I think, I want to grind first thing in the morning. I do it because my kids are going to be up at 6:30. Yeah. And then it's time to get ready for school with breakfast and getting them dressed and walking them to school. Then I have work. And then after that, it's time to pick up the kids from school. And then it's dinner. Then it's bedtime. Then it's bath routines. And then it's like by 7:30, 8 o'clock at night. What am I going to, I'm not going to work out. I'm exhausted at that point.
Come on.
So that's why I wake up at 5 in the morning, not because I think it's cool or I'm hard, but because it's literally the only time that I can get to myself.
It's so important. And I'm the same boat. Like I try to get to bed by 9. And that always doesn't happen when I'm trying to, my wife homeschools our kids. So
That's
we're
awesome.
home and we're kind of doing some stuff at night. And usually it's 9:30 at the latest, or I'm passing out on the couch by 9 while the family's watching a movie or something, right? But I'm an early riser, 4 a.m., 6 days a week, typically. And people are like, dude, that's crazy. Why do you get up before him? And really for me, when I get before him, the first thing I do is I hit up the gym downstairs, and then I'm up here and spend some time in prayer. And it's really all about just being grateful, man. Like
Yes.
I'm so thankful that I can wake up and see my family each day, And so I'm like, dude, the reason I wake up before him is because my desire to be successful in that type of things in business and as a dad, as a husband, is more important than sleep to me, right? And so if I can get up and do that stuff, because I'm the same way, man. I'm making their breakfast. My wife is, getting ready and getting to school, and then I'm making their lunches in the morning. I work from home, so I come upstairs and I go to work, and it's like if I don't work out in the morning or have that me time in the morning, I'm off for the day, right?
Yeah,
and
man.
so it's so important that 6 hours of sleep, that's where I'm about at for right now,
I know, me too. And again, I hate to say that, and because you don't want to give like bad advice on the internet and be like, yeah, you don't need sleep, because it's like there's so much conflicting information out there, and I definitely don't want to like say bad advice around the sleep stuff. But like you said, I wake up. I probably wake up around the same time you do, honestly, because I also then crank out my emails that I send to my audience and stuff like that. So like, there's just so much work that I'm doing at that time. But like you said, it's just quiet, uninterrupted. I also do my morning affirmations and prayer and all that stuff around that time as well, because like I said, it just primes me up for the day, and I could be a better dad. Like I'm ready to receive my kids at 6:30 versus feeling like they're waking me up. Like I get to go open the door and be like, "What's up, kids? I am ready for whatever you're going to throw at me right now."
So important, man. I love that, being able to wake up my kids every morning. And when I got married, my wife and I's goal was to really have her be home as a mom. And so
that's awesome.
We were married, and my wife was 6 months pregnant with my daughter, who's 13 now. And I was finally able to land a job that allowed her to just come home. And she's been the stay-at-home mom since my daughter was 6 months old. But I love those moments of being able to wake them up in the morning and see them every single day. And, it's so important as a dad just to spend that time. In fact, my daughter last night, she was excited to, Dad, watch this movie with me. I'm like, okay, cool. Or watch a Lego movie. And it's a good movie, but it's like 8:30 at night. And I'm like starting to fall asleep. Usually Mondays are a little rough for me. So I'm like passing in and out of sleep there on the couch. She's like, Dad, wake up. But it's that moment that she's like, Dad, thanks for watching that movie with me. I'm like, well, I'm sorry, I slept through half of it. Right? Like,
that's awesome,
like,
man.
For you, I mean, your website, as I was reading through it, like it mentions Forging Elite Fathers program. I want to get into this because, like, what's your program? When dads join, like, what can they expect out of that?
Yeah, so we do have a 12-week one-on-one coaching program, and it's designed for busy dads who want to go from dad bod to fit dad and like lose their first 20 plus pounds without the fasting, without cutting carbs, without sacrificing family time, sustainably, right? So that they can build those lifelong habits for years to come. And so it's a fitness, nutrition, and accountability program where we will literally, tell you what workouts to do for, every single day of the week. But the minimum is 3. We don't necessarily need everybody to work out 6 days a week, but at minimum, we're asking for 3 workouts. The nutrition piece, where we teach you, we don't just throw you in the deep end and say, okay, here are your macros, go start tracking, good luck. Like we have a very structured phased approach, like week 1, just tracking a few things, week 2, week 3, we assign you your first custom calorie goal. Weeks 5 and 6, we assign you your first macronutrient goal, right? So it's very layered in that way. And then, of course, the accountability, where our members have unlimited messaging access to us and weekly check-ins. And we also host multiple live Zoom calls every single week. We call those office hours. So anybody can hop on and just ask us questions in real time. But the main thing that's really, like, I think a pillar of our program is our community. We have, over 100 dads in the program going through the program. And our group chat is just, people posting their wake up times. We have like these 7 core habits that we want all of our guys to implement. And so they post their wake up times in the group chat. They post sweaty selfies in the group chat. They post their nutrition totals at the end of the night. It's just a really awesome, and the group chat is awesome because all the guys are encouraging each other. And again, it's not like, if you're sort of like an introvert, that's cool too. You don't have to sit there and be waving the flag and all that stuff. You could be, engaged as you want, but it's just cool that, guys are asking each other questions, supporting each other. And the main reason why I think it's really special is because in our world, most men don't have that kind of like support system, right? Like I always say, like, you are the average of the 5 people you spend the most time with. I'm sure you've heard that quote.
Yep.
And this isn't a knock on anybody's friends and family, but I'm willing to bet that if you want to level up in your health and fitness, I'm willing to bet that most of your friends and family don't. They don't care necessarily.
Sure.
And so if you're the only one who's trying to get shredded, trying to lose weight, trying to get healthy, you're really swimming upstream if you're doing that by yourself with, you know, potentially with a wife who's not really on board with that, or your friends and family who don't really care, right? And so like if you're around 5 smokers, you're going to be the 6th. If you're around 5 people who complain about work, you're going to be the 6th person who complains. If you're around 5 people who think the government is out to get you, you're going to be the 6th person, versus like if you're around 5 people who go running, you'll be the 6th. If you're around 5 people who are grateful and present and like, you know, want to help each other, you'll be the 6th, right? And so I think the main thing that is really special in our program is the community.
Man, community is huge. Accountability is massive. I mean, I don't think I would be where I'm at today in my fitness journey if I didn't have accountability. My coach, you know, checking in on me every single workout, you know, like, hey man, hey, good job. Or, hey, did you do this today? It's so important there.
Totally.
The hot topic with fitness nowadays is ice baths. Like, what are your thoughts on ice baths?
So I actually posted on social media maybe a couple of days ago, I think on Sunday, like I was like, ice baths aren't going to change your life. And I was like, but waking up a few minutes before your family to knock out some push-ups and air squats will.
Yeah, totally.
And it got a lot of comments. And, and you know, and some people are like, well, ice baths are really good. And I'm sure they are. But my main thing is it's whether it's supplements or ice baths or red light therapy or magnesium or getting sunlight first thing in the morning or delaying caffeine by an hour. Those are all the sort of the cherry on top of the sundae, right? Those are all just, they're not the big needle movers. Those are the things, if you're already performing at like, if you're already performing like 90%, that's going to help you get to 91, 92%, right? Like that's for like the top tier people to just move the needle a little bit to take them to the next level. An ice bath, if you're completely out of shape, you have zero routines, you never work out, your diet is trash, you can go sit in the ice bath all you want. It's not going to change your life. You know what I mean?
Yep, totally.
So the sundae itself, the ice cream, the nuts, the hot fudge, like that's like your habits, your nutrition, how often you're working out, your mindset, your relationship with your family, all that stuff. And if all that stuff is golden and you want to add the ice bath for the little cherry on top, go for it. Add the ice bath, add the supplements, add the magnesium, add the delaying caffeine by an hour or whatever. But those things are advanced strategies, not necessarily applicable to most people who just need to focus on the basics right now.
Yeah. Oh, come on, man. That's awesome. For dads that have, you know, want to say they don't have much time, they got 15 minutes to do a workout in the day. Like, what's that go-to workout that dads could just do quickly to kind of get some calories burned and get some energy going?
Totally. And this is one that I actually created when my wife, when we had our first. So I remember I said I was knocking out push-ups and air squats and crunches while my wife was literally nursing the baby. And then she'd ask for water and I'd go into the room with like a little sweat patch on my chest. And she's like, were you working out? I'm like, no, babe. What's up? What do you need? What do you need? You need water? I got your water. You know, I didn't want her to like get mad at me for working out.
Totally.
So
that's awesome.
But everybody should write this down. It's a simple bodyweight workout. It's 10 rounds and you're going to do 10 push-ups, followed by 10 squats, maybe 20 squats if you want, but 10 push-ups followed by 10 squats, followed by 10 crunches. V-ups if you could do the V-ups. And just cycle through those 3 movements with little to no rest in between each round. So again, you're going to knock out 10 push-ups, immediately followed by 10 squats, immediately followed by 10 crunches, stand back up, 10 push-ups, 10 squats, 10 crunches, and just try to cycle through that for 10 rounds total. And it could take you anywhere between 10 to 15 to 20 minutes max. And if you can't do 10 push-ups, then do 5. If you need to go to your knees, go to your knees. If you can't do full squats, sit in a chair and stand up. Sit in a chair and stand up. If you can't do V-ups, do the crunches. The point is, if you do that workout or that kind of workout 3 to 4 days a week, like I guarantee in just a little bit of time, you'll fitter, you'll get stronger, your push-ups you'll be able to do, man, I only did 5 push-ups, now I'm doing 7 push-ups, now I'm doing 10 push-ups. Yeah. And it took me 20 minutes when I first started this, now it's taking me 15 minutes, now it's only taking me 10 minutes. And you could literally measure if you're getting better at it by how fast, how long it's taking you to do the workout and like what your work capacity is. So that one workout, if you did nothing else for the rest of your life, I guarantee you'd be fitter than most people your age.
Dude, that's so important. And push-ups have been my I would say go-to, but my also like, I love the pain that they cause, like
Yeah.
my buddy who's been, the coach for me last week, he implemented medicine ball push-ups. So I've been doing that, and that killed me, man. I was like, I did 25 of them and I was like dead, like 2 minutes rest and then back to doing 25. But that quick 10, 10 and 10, man, talk about like easy. People can implement that today. Come on, dads, jump that on, get on that right now. I love to finish the show with a fun question. I'm a big music guy. So like, what kind of music do you listen to? What's your favorite band?
So honestly, I got to say two. I'm a 90s kid, right? I grew up on grunge, and I grew up in Nirvana when I was like 11 years old. And that's when I first started playing the guitar. So Nirvana, Pumpkins was my very first concert.
Okay.
STP, Pearl Jam, like all like Soundgarden, Alice in Chains, like that was like my jam, the 90s stuff. But in high school, I was more into like the pop punk. And so like think like Blink-182. Oh, I also went through like a huge Metallica phase in my life, and seen Metallica like 3 or 4 times here in New York. And I used to play all their songs on the guitar. But I would say like what if people only followed me on Instagram, then they would think I'm like a 2000s pop punk emo dude. And that's true because that music is like a faster cadence. So it's better to work out to than like 90s grunge.
Sure.
But like in my heart, I would say like I'm a 90s grunge dude.
So true. Dude, I'm the same. It's funny. My wife and I just last week or 2 weeks ago, we were sitting on the couch and 90s music came on, and my wife and I just started going down this rabbit hole of YouTube channel of videos of Nirvana and Tupac and Biggie and like SDP, and we're like introducing our kids to this music.
Yes.
It was the funnest thing for like 3 hours. We just sat around watching YouTube music videos. I'm the same, man. I love rock, man. Nirvana, Metallica, pop punk is definitely got a special place in my heart. Love the new Blink-182 album. It's so good, dude.
It's funny that you mentioned your kids thing, because like I'll play the guitar sometimes. You can see my guitars over there, and I'll play it along with like Nirvana Unplugged or something. And my little daughter's always like, "Why does he sound like that? Why does he sing like that?" Like the scratchy voice.
That's awesome.
It's really funny. One last thing I wanted to say about the push-ups, though, but just to go back to that one thing to your audience, guys listening, is what's more quintessential than remember, like for your kids, than remembering that their dad just did push-ups all the time. Like their dad was just strong and just did push-ups. Like your kids can sit on your back and you can knock out some push-ups. If you go to the gym only to work out, like you're potentially missing an opportunity to model fitness for your kids. Because for them, you leave the house in a dry shirt, you come back in like a slightly sweatier shirt, but they don't know what you did. They know daddy went to go work out, but they don't know what it looks like. Versus like if you're like knocking out push-ups and squats at home, crunches at home, stuff like that, at least they see what fitness looks like. So when it's their turn to get into their own shape when they're of age, it's not scary. It's approachable. It's like, oh, I know what to do. You do some push-ups, you do some squats, you go jog around the house. I know what that looks like. Versus like, I have no idea. You walk into the gym for the first time, you see these tricep pull-down machines, this thing, that thing. You're like, I don't know what to do here. This is very intimidating. I'm leaving. Versus like, I know what fitness looks like. It just looks like push-ups, crunches, squats, and runs. You know what I mean?
That's so important. And we have a rule in our house. Parents are going to hate me for this, but like if the kids leave the light on, we say it's 10 push-ups. And the rule applies to us parents too. So if I'm leaving a light on, my kids are seeing me doing push-ups. But my kids are pretty ripped because they do a lot of push-ups.
That's awesome.
And, they go to karate class and they're like the only kids who are like can do a proper push-up. It's because they do a lot of push-ups.
Hell yeah, dude.
But
That's
it's so
awesome.
important to like work out with the kids, man. Kevin, I love this conversation, man. Thank you so much, dude. You're an absolute world changer, man. Thank you so much for taking time out of your day, man. I appreciate you.
I really appreciate you too, Erik, man. This has been a blast, and I can't wait to have you on the Dad Bod WOD podcast as well.
Looking forward to it, man. Thank you so much. Thank you so much for checking out the show today. I really appreciate it. I hope that my guest was able to bring you some amazing wisdom and knowledge to help you continue to fight for your goals, your dreams, and your purpose. If you could do me one big favor and just hit that subscribe button, I would so appreciate it. Thank you so much for your time. Keep changing the world. I believe in you. Have an amazing day.